So in this film we'll be talking about Macdonald, Wilson, Martinez and Toosi's paper Assessing Value in Use, a Conceptual Framework and Exploratory Study. This paper was published in Industrial Marketing Management 2011. I think it's a really great, really interesting and insightful paper and really worth reading. So the research question of the paper is, how does a business customer assess value in use? Now, understanding customers' perception of value in context is, as Anderson and Nasser says, monumentally difficult, though the same authors say, well, you can do this. And what I like about this paper are the definitions. Macdonald et al. Define value in use as the customer outcome, purpose, or objective that is achieved through service. And then they use Vargo and Lusch definition of service to clarify that above point and say service is a process of using one's resources for the benefit of and in conjunction with another party, which is again all about resources and use. I really like that. The paper proposes a conceptual framework that allows you to assess value in use. So what they look at are three interlinked constructs. So they talk about the customer assessment of service quality, relationship quality and network quality, the customer's assessment of the use process quality, and then specifically the customer's assessment of the value in use of the provider's offer. Measures of service quality were recognised as being perceptual rather than objective. So the work really recognises that instead of fixed KPIs and measuring things, you need to talk to and identify the customer, talk to them, interview them and understand how they perceive the value and the quality of the processes. So as part of that, Macdonald proposed that customers can articulate value in use, and therefore they're using interviews and a single case study to capture data to populate this framework they've created. So having done their interviews and the analysis, again it's really worth reading the paper. They come to 4 propositions. They recognise that current service quality measures very much assume that value is embedded at the moment of service delivery. So current service measures are about value at the point of exchange, value as utility, and not really about value as a use construct. They say that the customer's use processes are subject to quality assessment and related to value in use. So they make a strong link between quality assessment and value in use. Again, they make this point that value in use can be articulated by the customer just as they can articulate service quality. They also talk about within that customers' awareness of the provider's network and the provider's extended use of other resources in achieving the goals that the customers set. They also talk about the value in use shifting. Initially in the work they say how the customer was really trying to minimise pain and looking at making their process run smoother, but as those goals were satisfied by the provider, the customer's perceptions of value changed. They wanted more, and therefore the provider really needed to recognise that and move and provide new value propositions to address the changing context, the changing perception of what value was for the customer. So the benefits of the work, this paper has some really strong theoretical underpinning. When you read it, the literature review is very strong. It's one of those works that focuses on value in use as opposed to exchange value. It really does recognise and articulate that you mustn't believe that value is embedded at the point of exchange, that it's only when we use something is the value of that offer realised. They provide a framework, they empirically test it, which is always nice to see, and they show that customers can articulate value in use. One of the other strengths is they clearly define the use of the terminology service and the terminology value in use. So some critique of the work. Firstly, the assessment is undertaken of value in use via an interview. And this happens a long time after the use process. It appears to be between 1 and 3 years, or if not 4 years after the fact. So context will have changed. The individuals could have thought it through, might have changed their minds a number of times on how something went. It's very difficult to measure. Perceptions aren't mechanical. They change, they're fluid. So this is definitely an issue for all of us to consider. I also question the author's understanding the meaning of value, because they take Woodruff interpretation of value as a means ends, where you buy something to achieve your means, and therefore you achieve the ends that you want to achieve. I think Vargo and Lusch take phenomenologically experienced constructs of value, which I think are quite different. That needs some exploration. There's also differences between quality and value, and they seem to use the word quality and the word value in this paper almost interchangeably. I got a little confused. That's probably just me, but I'd like that more fully explained. Have a read of the paper, particularly those bits, maybe see what you think. Love to know if you want to add some comments or email me. I think it's a really great paper, really insightful, really engaging, so do have a read.